Hello, friends, and welcome to another Social Blueprint interview. And today is really a real-time snippet. All of us know that literally in real time, the Middle East is changing before our eyes. And there are stories that are emerging that are truly incredible, going back to the 1967 stories, the Holocaust stories, and so forth. And as the saying goes, truth is stranger than fiction. And we are very grateful here because we have two people in the Melbourne community who you know, Dina and Moshe Kahn, who really had a bird's eye view. And you're going to hear all about it. Enough with me. Dina, Moshe, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us back on this wonderful show.
Moshe, there's the expression that there are days where weeks happen and so forth and so on. This was really one of them. You were in Israel when we launched that incredible strike into Iran that is going to be studied by all military historians. But you have the real-time view of really what it takes. Tell us maybe a little bit about starting with the boat, and then we'll work backwards.
Starting at the end. Well, I'll tell you this, I will come to the boat, but I'll tell you, so Dina and I, we were on this mission with Young Jewish Professionals, YJP, and it was truly, truly a remarkable, incredible mission. There was 50 of us, another one person joined us in Israel, so it was 51 in total, 51, full bus. A lot of time when we got on the bus, we don't even have to do a roll call. We just look at every seat was full, every seat on the bus was full.
Incredible.
We're good to go. So it was honestly the most remarkable, uplifting, inspirational trip. Everybody was in the zone, everybody was loving it. We were volunteering, we had gone up north, we'd gone down south. We had done everything. It was an emotional, real, but the full gamut of emotions was there. Thursday night, to come to your late Thursday night, we were told that obviously we knew what happened, and the war started with Iran on Thursday night, and everything went into lockdown and shutdown, and very different temperament. We'll come back to that. But so we were essentially locked down from Thursday night through to Monday night.
Okay.
And Monday night, I'm giving you the end if you want me to start with the boat. Monday night, we were told we'll be able to get on the boat and to be ready, we're going to be picked up by bus 5:30 or 6 a.m. So we told everyone to wake up at 5.
Wow.
So we, that was our last night, if you like, in Jerusalem, Yerushalayim. And then that morning, Tuesday morning, we got picked up 6 a.m. We drove. On the way, we were told, just to show you how the rumors were just flying, we were told initially there's no food, so we better stop and buy some extra food and snacks. So we stopped at a gas station, and there was this gas station's best day of his year because 50 people going on a journey and thinking, oh my gosh, there's no food. We literally bought everything.
Right.
So and then we were told there's no toilets. So there was one. So we had to all of a sudden go, and everybody was running to the bathroom. Sort of, oh my gosh. But it was calm. It was beautiful. There was a great energy. So we bought,
organized chaos.
Organized. I wouldn't even call it organized chaos. Calm, just beautiful demeanor. Our group was incredible, and we said everybody will just go along with the journey. When we came to the cruise, to the actual terminal in Ashdod, there wasn't a toilet. There was one toilet there that was overflowing. It was one of those portaloos, and it wasn't exactly of world class, standing, but it's okay. We did what we did, and then lo and behold, we're sitting waiting in this massive car park, and the sirens go off. So all of a sudden, we all get off the bus. We're lying on the ground, but even that was an experience.
And there was 40 buses of
40 buses.
40 buses. We were correct. We're a group of 50, but there was 1,500 people ultimately coming on this boat. So they were all pulling in. So you imagine 40 people. Initially, they wanted to keep us orderly, but yes, 40 buses, as Dina said, and I'm happy for Dina to take over for me, and I'll jump in.
I was just going to say, and you can imagine that many people having to get off the bus and lie on the ground, and they said, just lie there was one kind of wall, but you've got 1,500 people needing to fit there,
Wow.
It was, but it was also an incredible unity. I can't even tell you. It is a bit crazy. I looked around the scene, and you see these people just line. It's a hot day, so the sun's beating down, and it's mostly young people.
Right.
So our group, which was young Jewish professionals, was still the oldest around. So most of the people were Taglit, Birthright, beautiful 18 to 21-year-olds.
Right.
And so we were considered the oldies. But it truly, truly was remarkable. It wasn't panic, there wasn't hysteria, everybody got off, it was calm.
Right.
People just, there was no shelter. There was one bomb shelter there. So that was packed, probably 100 people squeezed in there.
Okay.
But I went in just to look after, just to see. I thought, oh my gosh, this is interesting. But otherwise, we just sat there and we were singing songs, some of the groups. You saw people talking. It was just a beautiful demeanor. It took a few hours. We got there, as I said, we left our hotel 6 a.m. We stopped along the way. We only got on the boat at 1 p.m. So
okay, that's a long time.
It's a long time. We're waiting, and but again, it was calm. I don't want people to have this picture of panic, and because it really wasn't. It really wasn't, and really like incredible bonding time. And we understood we're actually living through history.
You did. That's what I was going to ask. You did recognize this is a moment.
Yeah. No doubt, we all said this is a moment. Some people coined it, Exodus 2, except we said Exodus 1 was from outside of Israel into Israel. So we decided to scrap Exodus 2, but we definitely understood this was a unique moment. And I want to just say, and I want Dina to talk, but I want to just say that what we all found incredible, of the 51 people, it wasn't, not one of them was leaving like, oh my gosh, we have to get out of here. This is desperate. We're panicking. We were leaving because we were scheduled to leave. We had to come back. I've got responsibilities in Melbourne, and we're doing what we had to do. But the reality was that we were leaving with a heavy heart.
Right.
There was not one of us that left saying, yes, like desperate, So.
And when we told people like that night, we're leaving tomorrow morning, people were really upset. They were like, we're not ready to go. Because everyone thought we'd be stuck there for another 2 weeks, and they kind of...
Had that mentality.
Yeah, and people were upset. And 10 people from our group actually stayed on in Israel. They're like, we don't want to leave, and they stayed.
So the unity factor, incredible, it sounds.
Incredible. Look, we were very, very privileged. I'm not even talking about the broader unit. I'm talking about our group. It was... go on our social media, you'll see daily what we did, but what we achieved and what it brought to us, and to the communities we visited was really remarkable. Yeah, so we keep going. The boat isn't, because I know there's been a lot of talk. Was a party boat. I want to tell you something. We had as a 1,500 people. We got on the boat. Right. So I got on the boat at 1. It was organized chaos, I would say. I've got to commend. You got to commend, Taglit Birthright, which did the most remarkable job. In 24 hours, they pulled off a cruise with, plenty of kosher food. It's not a small feat. Logistics, 40 buses, maybe, you're talking about allocating rooms. You're talking about, but obviously there was, I came on, didn't have a room. Dina came on, she was put into a bunk room with 4 other guys. Right. Probably not exactly the best, Right. One of the people in our group was sadly not on the list accidentally. So that was panic. I got on the boat already, and then I got a phone call, I can't get through. So it was working logistics. Right. Then people getting on the boat, they didn't have a room, and they were, that creates sort of a panic. Where do you put your suitcase? Where do you go? Right. So whilst it sounded, so on the contrary, we actually were telling young people, anybody that's organized, please go enjoy, go and eat, go upstairs, go to the pool, and then people realized we had to arrange tickets. So people didn't have tickets out from, like we were going to Cyprus, and we were getting to Cyprus the next morning, right? We got on the boat Tuesday, 1 o'clock, we were landing in Cyprus Wednesday. And obviously I wanted my group to all leave by Wednesday night so we could get back here for Shabbat. Right. So, and then there was the ticket issue. One person had the wrong passport name, wrong passport number, and then someone else didn't have a ticket. And then we realized, who else doesn't have a ticket? We didn't even know, because we couldn't even get, there was no Wi-Fi to begin with, so we couldn't even get...
The Wi-Fi was hard, because if you I was scared to lose sight of Moshe, because if I lost sight of him, I wouldn't be able to find him, because we didn't have a room, so I had no base, and it's massive shit. So no one could find each other, and so it was a bit like, that panicky.
So the logistics involved are no mean feat. So on this whole cruise, while we see a lot of the videos and we can discuss them, whatever it is, there's actually a lot of logistics, it sounds like, going on below the surface, no pun intended.
Massive amount of logistics. There was a situation room, and there was a group of people from Taglit headquarters, and they were incredible. I've got to say, I've got to give them a shout out, because honestly, what they did, they were calm, they were kind, we were one group of 50. Okay, and I know what the logistics involved with that. They were dealing with 1,500,
right.
And I appreciated that.
And they had to meet through the whole night. They sat and met with each head of each group to work out their group's tickets and itinerary.
Right.
So you can imagine, like, you know, it was massive.
It's also a lesson, I suppose, in leadership, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got full kudos to them, and the thing which I think they set from the top was a sense of calmness. There was no screaming, there was no panic. A lot of people I know a lot of people see people dancing on the floor. What they don't see is the amount of people that were seasick. They don't see the amount of people that were crying, people that had left family behind, people that were worried about their family, people that were going into unknown charted territory. They didn't know where they're going. So Cyprus is, yes, safe place, but what am I doing in Cyprus? Where am I going in Cyprus? I mean, so there was so much of that. And then, you know, as I said, just facilitating, working that out. But it did get there, and it was beautiful. I could tell you one thing, I didn't want to go to sleep that night, because I just felt, how could I sleep at this moment of history? Like, really? Sleep when you get back home. Like that's what I felt. I truly, so, you know, eventually the boat was calm, and also there was all our group that I wanted to connect with and talk to them more. And I'd somewhat been organizing, been so involved in logistics the first part of the day that I hadn't really bonded with them. So we're walking around, and this is like midnight, and the boat's still alive and going, and it's sense of, and I've never, honestly, I can't tell you, I didn't know most of the people on the boat, obviously.
Yeah.
But there was such a sense of community, and
really?
it was actually remarkable. For me, that was a highlight. I'm walking down, and I'm just seeing people just walk past me, all young, and I felt emotional. Chatting to random strangers, and we were family. I mean, Dina could share the story with the Miami group.
Oh, please do.
So basically, we stayed at the same hotel the whole time. We were always meant to. So we arrived Sunday night, and we were going to be there till Tuesday, which we ended up leaving Tuesday. Just took a lot longer to get home. And another Birthright, and we kind of took over the hotel. It wasn't a massive hotel, and there were a few other people there, but we were the big group. So we took over the lobby, we had some meals there, like it was like our place. And then on Friday afternoon, another Birthright group from Miami, they were meant to stay in Tel Aviv, but they moved them there because it was safer in Yerushalayim.
Okay.
So there was 50 of them. So we started like connecting with them, and we almost became, you know, this one big group.
Right.
And a lot of times, you know, Moshe took this leadership role for our group. Like, he pivoted quickly and was like, let's get a comedian night happening. Let's get, one night we had like a whole sing-along on the rooftop of the hotel. Let's get this speaker. So they came and, you know, joined in a lot of things we were doing, and they felt, you know, the calm stemming from our group. And then when we got, you know, to the ship, all of a sudden they were like our best friends. We like, hey, and hugging and kissing. And what was so crazy was that officially the whole Birthright boat situation was also sponsored by a Senate. Was it
there's an American government, Israeli government, Taglit. Apparently, I don't know that that's a fact. So I don't want to, this is all the
whatever.
Alleged what we understood from the people that we were communicating, that DeSantis had chartered planes and had facilitated.
Yes.
I don't know, people could do
But
that.
we knew that Moshe was told, like, we're going to take care of the Americans first, because they're kind of, and then you're a 50, because we knew we were flying out that night. They were leaving right after they, like, disembarked from the boat. So then, because we knew that we were having a day in Cyprus, Moshe, his nephew lives in Ayin Napa, like a 45-minute drive from the airport, where there's a beautiful beach town. So Moshe arranged with him, you know, we'll have a bus for the day, we'll go out, we'll go to his Chabad house and have lunch. Like, we had a whole amazing day.
Wow.
And we kind of went off and forgot about the Americans, because we knew.
Yeah.
Then we came back to the airport at about 5 p.m. to check in, and all our best friend Americans are standing in the airport.
They've been stranded.
And we're like as if, our best friends, we're hugging
Right.
and kissing, and poor them, basically less planes came than they imagined would come, and they were stranded the whole day in the airport.
Oh.
They ended up being on our flight with us to Dubai. So again, we just felt like they were like part of our destiny. We were all with them again on the next plane ride. We had some food with us because our nephew gave us food for the way they were
Right. So
we're
starving.
giving
We
out-
like giving out the food, and then we got to the airport in Dubai and they were all panicking because again they were missing their stamp, and we were like hugging again, like we just like formed this intense bond. And like one of the women in the airport in Cyprus, she went and like bought some bracelets and gave them out to our group because
Wow.
and then they've been messaging me, how are you, how have you got back? So it was just so special how we just formed this connection with them.
Incredible. I mean, I don't know what to say. Just
It's beautiful, and I think this is the most important point, is that that's a whole community from Florida that we didn't know.
right.
And yet we were family. It made no difference, we saw them in the morning. There was genuine care. And when we left finally at Dubai, we finally said goodbye. We said, unless you meet us in Australia. Yeah, one of them.
It wouldn't have surprised us, like the amount of times we
Yeah.
bumped into them.
And we will bump into them. We exchanged numbers.
Right.
It wasn't just a random. It was someone I didn't know, but it was like reconnecting with family, and I think that's special.
And they are family because it's the Jewish family, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And I just want to add one, I forgot about this story that I'm just remembering. On Friday night, we spent a lot of time in the bomb shelter downstairs. And one time when we were there, maybe it was 1 a.m., we saw this random man like down in the shelter with us. So a lot of times in the shelter, it was our group and the other group, which is already 100 people, plus neighbours would come in because they didn't have a shelter there. So there were often random people there. And we started talking to him, and basically he told us that he is from Germany and he had
incredible.
just arrived in Israel Friday morning when the war began, and he didn't know where to go, what to do. He's not Jewish,
Right.
and his first time in Israel, and he was just roaming around the old city, and he happened to bump into the group from Florida.
Okay.
And they said, come to our hotel for dinner, because we had all these plans to go to the hotel that night and eat in the old city, but they all fell apart. And we had to eat in the hotel, and that group also ate in the hotel. And they said, come with us for dinner. And he
Right.
was like, I've never seen such hospitality. People
Really?
don't know me. I'm not Jewish. And they invited me to join them for dinner. And then he told us this unbelievable story that his grandfather was a Nazi
Wow.
and quite high ranking, and he's so terribly embarrassed that he wants to make up
Right.
for, and he decided he wants to come to Israel. He's never met a Jew before
Wow.
that night dinner, and us with us in the bunker, and we hung out with him all night.
Wow.
And
Some introduction.
yeah.
But it was a remarkable moment to hear that story. And he goes, the more he learned about his grandfather, he said they'd written a book about him. I don't remember his name, but he was Schwarz. Otherwise I would have Googled right away. But apparently he was a high-ranking
Right.
Nazi officer, and committed the greatest atrocities. And he says, I can't understand how a human being could do that.
Yeah.
And on his own volition, he's decided to come and learn
Wow.
more about the Jews, and a remarkable guy, like great fun, great energy. Yeah, it was really special.
Moshe, I'm curious, in this whole scheme, looking for the good, it's
Yeah.
something that the two of you, I believe, are just incredible at. Is that a trained attitude that we can all have? Because you could have sat there and easily just folded it, so to speak, but you didn't, did you?
We definitely didn't fold, and we definitely pivoted. I know that's become a fame, but we did pivot because we had a full schedule plan for Friday, Shabbos, Sunday, Monday,
Right.
full program to we were starting our days, and this is not an exaggeration, 8 a.m. is when we met in the lobby every day. There was breakfast before
Right.
that even, so technically even earlier, and we were going to the 11, 12 formal program.
Wow.
That's how structured it was. It was like, if anything, people were saying like, oh my gosh, it was like, we were looking forward to Shabbat where it was a
Right.
drop more relaxed. And we rearranged. We got speakers to come in, as Dina said. We had Colonel Kemp come in. We had Chaver Knesset, come in to us. We had beautiful music. But we arranged things on the spot. Like one morning, I didn't know where to now. I didn't know what to do. I ran to a store. Lucky it was open. I said, God, I need to find a soccer ball and a frisbee. And I said, guys, that's it. Everybody, we're not staying in the lobby. Get up. We're going to the park. And we ran to the park and we played footy and we did it. And I feel like God made a miracle because that store was not meant to be open. Like no other store was open and one random sports store, literally. So, but God sort of knew I needed to get that frisbee.
Right.
But I think, it's not something I'm not. I think we've always got to be positive. In the world, there's always a half cup that that's full, and there's always an opportunity. And I don't think there's anybody in our group we missed out some. We had Sunday night. We had planned together with the Chamber of Commerce this incredible event. We meant to have 150 people join us from all across, and we had Nova Paris was actually going to be a guest speaker. This was advertised, and that event fell through. So it would have been nice to have that event. We were in Tel Aviv. But, I don't think anybody felt like what they missed out. I think everybody felt what they gained.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, I think that's Israel. I could tell you that Israel, I just spoke to a friend of mine, and he said to me, Moshe, he lives in Tel Aviv. He said, the beaches are vibrant again. It's like a war ended yesterday, and now the beaches are like thriving. But I will say, and I think it's important to say that I've been to Israel many times, including in this current, war, and it was different with the Iran component of the war. So the day before, Israel, like Machne Yehuda, the shuk, the market was pumping, Ben Yehuda pumping. The second the war with Iran, they went into lockdown. It was like a COVID energy.
Really?
It did change. Old city lockdown. We couldn't, as Dina mentioned, we couldn't do our Friday night. We couldn't go to the Kotel. Shuls were closed.
Right.
So
the gates to the old city were closed. Like I've never seen that before. You could not.
Wow.
You weren't allowed to walk into the old city. Only people that actually live there.
Yeah. So it was for me. I've been to Israel tens and tens of times, and including during war, but never have I felt the experience of the war with Iran because bombs were falling, people were dying. It wasn't like, Hamas is shooting and the Iron Dome will get it down and sort of a bit blasé. This was real. We went on a walking tour one of the days to Yerushalayim. Around, I took them on a little tour, and then all of a sudden the alarms, we got a notification on your phone. In 10 minutes you need to be at a shelter. And I looked around me and there was a group of, I don't remember, there was 15 of us around, and they were like, there was a sense of panic, and I saw people started running ahead, and then there was some of our group that couldn't run as fast, couldn't walk as fast. So and I just I'll walk with them slowly, and I'm like, you're trying to encourage them to walk, but I can't deny that there was a sense of that walk for me was a moment of recognition that there was a legitimate sense of we were calm, but I saw inside the eyes anxiety. Am I going to be at a bomb shelter? Will I get there time? And I kept saying, don't worry, if we don't get back to the hotel, we could go into another building. At night, I will say, because I think it's important, like Dina mentioned that random locals came in because all the buildings in Jerusalem don't have a bomb shelter.
Right.
So there's a common one, but it's not very pretty. There was a beautiful anecdotal side story, but worthwhile. The local bomb shelter was really neglected, and I'm not talking about physical, I'm talking about just aesthetically, and I'm talking about, and we went in there and there was this lady, and what she was doing, she was cleaning it out, and she was putting food, she was setting up, and we said, what are you doing? She said, I know we're probably going to be called here tonight, I wanted to be nice for the locals. And that's just a random lady, not random, but a negative, random, and doing her act of goodness and kindness. Nobody would have known. She wasn't trying to get any credit for it. And I thought that was remarkably inspirational. But so many people came to our hotel to get, to come in, and you see this mother, and you see it in her eye, and she comes in, and it's 3 a.m. Yeah. That's when it was, 3 a.m. And then we call back again 4 a.m. And she's holding her baby, and it's like, it's real. Yeah. And I don't know her life, and I don't know, but when you have to go to work the next day, we were not going to work the next day. If someone was tired and if someone was a bit out of it, big deal.
Right.
You know, we had meals in the hotel. We were not going hungry.
Right.
And I looked at her and I this was real. This is someone who's you know, looking after a baby.
Right.
She came alone. I don't know if her husband maybe was even in battle. I don't know. I don't know if her husband. Who knows? I don't know this story. I honestly don't know. We didn't get to talk because it was, but for me, I just seeing her touch me, and I'm like, okay, this is different than just, you know, yeah, whatever. It's another day.
What an experience. Dina, as you said, and I'll close with this before we were filming here, that the Jewish experience, you can have these incredible happiness, sadness, all at the same time. Is that another Jewish trait, do you feel?
I think so, and I've seen it like especially after October 7th, that it was such a mix of emotions since October 7th, and on the one hand you're hurting so much,
Right.
but on the other hand you want to celebrate and you want to bring more joy, you know, like to really try to, because, you know, simcha poretz geder, like joy breaks forth all boundaries.
Yes.
So, and that's the Jewish people. We're not the type that are going to sit there and be like, poor us, we're victims, our life is so difficult. We're going to, you know, we're going to try to make the best out of the situation, and we're going to still celebrate the chagim and celebrate a wedding and celebrate a simcha. Like, we're still going to do that. We're going to pick ourselves up and say, how can we turn this into something positive? So, and I think it's not necessarily a contradiction. Like, we can hold both at the same time. We can hold the pain and still hold the hope and the positivity together. Yeah.
Dina, Moshe, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really, really appreciate it. Hatikva.
100%. If you never could lose hope. Really. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Shabbat shalom. We love you. Thank you.